emotional side has to be stronger. And I think the way to do it is through your story. People have a small vision for their life.
This is gonna blow your mind.
You got a really good shot. Make it count. Hey, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Is that your computer screen? What is that behind you, that purple thing?
So that's just my TV. These are my 800 some books. My family loves reading books. This is gonna blow your mind, but we just got a mini home delivered in our backyard with more books.
Okay.
We can't fit all the books in here. So
that's a lot of books.
And then you saw that in my video. So
yeah.
What that is. Yeah.
Cool. What's on tap? What's our agenda? What are we talking about?
I wanted to first thank you for giving us 10 one-on-one sessions. That was very generous of you. So I want to recognize you for doing that. And I know that you are an avid reader. And one person I really want to meet is Grant Cardone. And his, my parents love 10X. Like, we have all the bands of 10X. I wanted to know your thoughts on that. On just his philosophy of always doing 10 times more than what you think is required to achieve a goal. And how might you have applied that in your life or done something similar, like 2X or 3X?
Yeah, and listen, it starts with not just doing 10 times more. It starts with thinking 10 times bigger. That's the starting point, is that people have a small vision for their life. And anytime they think a little bit bigger, the people around them tell them that they can't do it and they're not good enough. And who are you to do this? So it's okay. What's my idea right now? And then how do I make it 10 times bigger?
Right.
And then that shifts the way that you think. 'Cause to solve that problem is going to require different actions compared to the first problem that you had. So for me, I'm trying to solve the world's biggest problem, right? That people don't believe in themselves enough. That shifts how I operate and the things that I do compared to, I want to get, whatever smaller goal. I want to get 3 million subscribers on my YouTube channel, or I want to get, whatever the next step is on Instagram. So as a result of thinking like that, for example, I don't do a lot of coaching, right? I love it, but the coaching I do is public because it can now hopefully serve other people, right? I could have a highly successful private coaching practice, which a lot of people do. It just doesn't serve my bigger goals. So yes, showing up and doing the work, but just starting with the mindset of, I'm going to think 10 times bigger. I want to solve a 10 times bigger problem.
I'm ready for the beauty with a purpose. This is so exciting. It's so nerve-wracking too because it's so personal. But my beauty with a purpose is about heart health. Heart disease is the #1 killer globally. It takes actually more lives than all forms of cancers combined. 1 in 3 people die from heart disease. And I'm a heart patient. I have a pacemaker for the rest of my life, and I'm alive because of it. And I work with American Heart Association around the world raising funds and awareness about preventative measures, because 80% of deaths taken from heart disease can be saved with a healthy lifestyle. But I don't only talk about just the physical heart. I also talk about the emotional heart, inspiring people to believe in themselves and have a growth mindset. And I think that can lead to solving so many problems down the road if you have a mentality that you can do anything and you can overcome any obstacle. So healing both the physical and emotional heart.
There it is. I like that. I like that. I like that you got the stats lined up. That's great. I would even think about how many people die today from heart disease. So, it's 1/3 of people die from heart disease. It's the biggest killer in the world, bigger than all the others combined. Awesome. And today, 85,000 people died from heart disease, or what? I don't know what the number
is. Just like the number today.
Like today.
So
today.
every 80 seconds, someone dies. So that's one stat I know.
Yeah. So whatever, just times that out. Every 80 seconds, somebody dies. So how many seconds in a day? Divide that up, and you can see. So it just hits home. Like, while the past 24 hours, while we were living our life and sleeping and eating, our breakfast and lunch and dinner, 20,000 people died.
Right.
from
Right.
this thing, right?
Come at me, Evan. Be really hard on me. Give
No,
me
I
like
like that. I
give
like
me
that.
like
I think the transition. So that's good. Like the stats are good. A lot of people aren't leading with the stats, which is super important. The transition from like the actual heart to
the emotional
the
heart.
the like emotional side has to be stronger. And I think the way to do it is through your story. So you got a pacemaker. You get the heart replacement. Is that was that a rare thing? Is that a
Yeah,
I guess
it's very rare.
is it? But it was heart disease. It was still like falls into the category, I guess.
Yeah, it's
right?
complete heart block. So for 12 years, I went undiagnosed with a complete heart block. The lowest my heart would beat at times would be 20 beats per minute. My heart would not beat for 5 seconds. Like it was just incredible. It was like a miracle that I was alive for the first 12 years of my life. Yeah. And usually people who get pacemakers, our average is 80.
Yeah.
So earlier I was focused on heart health, early heart checkups, but it's such a small group of people. So I want to be able to say early heart checkups, heart health, and a healthy lifestyle, which can help 80% of people who don't need to die and they have curable diseases, but they need to take care of their hearts first.
Okay, so so it's great. So like you could have been one of those 1 in 3 people, who died, or one of those 20,000 people a day who died, or whatever. Like you're in the category, right? Mm-hmm. And you're here, which is great. So how does it switch then for you to the emotional side?
So I believe that everything starts with a mindset. You need to first tell yourself that I'm worthy of spending time preparing my meals. I need to invest 1 hour or just 30 minutes being physically active. So emotional side, reminding yourself you're worthy of self-care.
How did it come out for you? Like, how did that?
For me, so
how old were you when that happened? When you had your heart, you were young, right?
Yeah,
you're still young, but
12.
Yeah, super
12.
young. Okay.
So I went for a physical checkup. I guess I would just. Okay, so yeah, I was 12 and I went for a physical checkup and they just felt my pulse and it was traumatic. It was like I didn't go to school for a month. I was at different hospitals getting my heart checked. And then I was told that I can't live with my heart like this. I need a pacemaker to survive. And
okay. Yeah. And so you got that at 12 or 13?
I got it at 12.
You got it at 12, okay.
In less than like a month of being diagnosed with a complete heart block. And then I was on bed rest. My arm was in a cast and I was told I could never dance again. So I guess I see where you're going.
There we go.
And then I can say, and then I was told I couldn't dance, but I had to emotionally, my parents emotionally helped me, reminded me to have a solution mindset, to not give up on my lifelong aspiration of being and serving as Miss World. And slowly, step by step, I was able to regain my strength both physically and mentally. And that's why I say emotional heart is so crucial to not just if you're suffering from a physical like disease as I was, but just for anything in life, to overcome any obstacle in life, you need to be emotionally strong.
Yeah, I like it. So the whole never dance again is great. That you used to be a dancer, you love being a dancer. Now they hear that you can't be a dancer, you're alive, which is great, but it's going to be a totally different life. That you didn't want to accept that, and recognizing the emotional side of things. I think you need to come up with a term. Maybe it's emotional heart. Maybe it's something else. Instead of using mindset, I want to keep it all in the heart and not jump into the head. Mm-hmm. So I don't want you using the word mindset. I want to replace it with something else.
Okay.
Because already we're straddling two horses, which becomes a little difficult, of like heart disease and the physical issues and the early checkups and all the health and all that stuff that you have to do. And now we're jumping to something else. It's the bridge is the thing that becomes really critical, so that they realize, oh, it's the same thing. It's not something totally different. So it's still all about the heart.
So I can just say that, I advocate about this because after I say heart health stats, I advocate about this because I have a pacemaker. But a huge part of my journey was emotionally, like focus. I mean, I can't think of any other term than emotional heart at the moment, but I can just say was focusing on my emotional heart. My parents helped me, books helped me, reminding myself of my purpose truly helped me. My purpose that was instilled in me when I watched Miss World at a young age.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I advocate for the holistic heart health, something along those terms.
Well, or heart disease can be split between physical heart and emotional heart.
Yes. Yeah.
And you lead with all the physical heart disease stats and everything, but then you realize, okay, now I saved my heart, and there's checkups and whatever else you have to do to kind of maintain the pacemaker and everything. But I realized that my emotional heart was now in crisis mode because my life had been ripped away from me. And as an average 12-year-old now, it was totally different, and I couldn't partake in the things that I wanted to do, and it felt like all my dreams were crushed. Mm-hmm. So I needed to develop the emotional heart side of things now. And here's what I did, and here's what I wrote. And so it's a passion of mine as well to help people who have both kinds of heart disease, the physical and the emotional.
Right.
To keep it all in the heart instead of going to
limiting
the head.
Limiting mindsets. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just another word for mindset, but it's still all the emotional side. Like mindset really is the emotional heart.
Right.
It's the feeling. It's not a logical thing. It's the feeling. It's the emotion you attach to things. Mm-hmm. And so that's what you're trying to fix. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a cool story. Now, in your video, you also talked about the burns. Like, how does that tie into the story?
So I think, like, say you're interviewing me right now, and we do like a 5-minute mock interview.
Yeah.
So it depends on the questions I get asked.
Yeah.
Then someone judge number 3 might ask about the burns, and then I say, that was another way that my heart was tested. And I, again, focused on my purpose. I focused on how I can, even though I am suffering from these facial burns, I still have my purpose and my desire to help others. So even though I was told I should stay at home to recover, mm-hmm. I decided to think of solutions where I could still recover and follow all the protocols and still go back to college and still advocate for my nonprofit for heart health. And then I bought a sun hat so I could protect my skin from UV lights. I kept my medical kit in my school bag so I could wash my face every few hours between classes. Mm-hmm. And it's another example of that. You can overcome any obstacle if you choose to be resilient every moment, and you choose to remind yourself of what there is to be grateful for and your purpose.
I like the whole heart health. Mm-hmm. And why people are broken, both from the physical and emotional side. Mm-hmm. You lead with the heart disease. You lead with it being 1 in 3, and that 20,000 people died in the past 24 hours, and that I could have been one of those people. I could have just been another statistic. Mm-hmm. I actually have a pacemaker right now because I had this condition, and at 12 I had to get a pacemaker. So I don't have a typical heart like everybody else does right now. Mm-hmm. But once we fixed that, I realized that my life had been torn apart and that I couldn't dance anymore. It'd been a huge passion of mine. This is where, like, if you have a picture of you as a 12-year-old dancer or something, like having props, like mm-hmm. pay attention to the surroundings that you're in.
Yes.
And I know maybe it's in the other room where is that a bird? What is that?
That's my dog, Charlie. That's his favorite toy.
Oh, he's got a toy. Okay. Yeah. Sounds like a bird is chirping. Yeah, like if you're filming the video in your library and you've got like the awards on one side or something, having a yes. prop handy for like a picture of you at 12, even like this was me at 12 being the dancer in some mm-hmm. pageant or something that you were in.
Right.
And then here's me like in the hospital the picture paints a nice visual.
Right.
It's hard to imagine a 12-year-old girl having to go through a heart transplant and what that means, right? So showing a picture. Do you have a picture of you at 10, 11, 12
Yes.
dancing?
Yes, I do. I have a question about the answer to my question. What is your beauty with a purpose?
Yeah.
Do you think I should like give them everything, a little bit of everything, just kind of, mention when I transition into my recovery from heart surgery, also talk about, but in life we get tested, all the time. Like I'm just saying, do you think the answer to my question is enough, or do you think I should add my facial burns and even like the bullying when I was younger in that answer?
I would take it out for now because
Right.
it's too much and it's hard to. This is when like your videos, like it's hard to see the through line. It's hard to do the bridge because everybody else has one cause that they're going for, and you're like you got two. And then if you want to now add like compassion and bullying and all this other stuff on top, it makes it even more difficult to understand. You'll bring people in with your warmth and your love and your enthusiasm, but like it's got to be clear this is what Shri stands for.
Right. That's why I just wait till people ask me questions about it, and then I bring
you may never. There's tons of stories that you could share. You may never talk about bullying in the interview. You may never get to the facial burns in the interview.
Right.
So, and you may it's just like I've got my office here, right? And sometimes people ask me about these pictures, and sometimes they don't. Like you've got stories for everything. You want to let them guide the conversation.
Absolutely.
Some people might be super, super detailed on, wow, take me back to when you were 12 and tell me about what that was like for you. And I'm sure you have a story for that. Or somebody might ask you, how did your parents handle it? And I'm sure you've got a story for that. Mm-hmm. So you've got all the story, which is great. Right. But you want to just set the stage for the judges to then pick on what they want to pick on.
Yes.
Right?
Can you be like a little judge right now, or do you think you want to go through the more of not asking a rapid fire question and just still digging deeper?
Well, it's helping you structure that opening, because once you get that down, I think whatever questions they throw at you, you'll be able to answer. Okay. I just think the story has to kind of tie in from you having a heart condition and then getting replacement, and then that moment leading. Yeah, like the burns have nothing to do with the heart replacement.
Emotional heart, though.
I get it, but there's a lot of like that can come. There's been lots of other stuff. I'm sure you've had some like heartbreak in relationships, and like one of your dogs died, and there's more heartbreak. Like yes, for sure. Yes. But it doesn't matter right now,
because the
story it just adds too much stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure you've been through lots of resilience and heartbreak, over your life, and unfortunately, there's more to come. But picking the right stories in the right moments is the thing that's really crucial. So it's tying emotional heart to you actually having a heart replacement. So if it's like I think the not being able to dance again is fantastic. If the bullying was related to the heart, like what were you bullied?
I mean, it was afterwards. Just it was like, I don't know. It's very hard to understand why people bully. So I can't always say it had to be because I was gone and they just found clicks. But yes, it was very like right after that year. I was just a new kid. I was still handicapped. I couldn't do PE, kind of alone. Never a good reason to bully anyone. So it's hard to tell why anyone chose to do that. But I also speak about bullying because I think it stems from not taking care of your emotional hearts. And but I don't say it in that way when I answer it. I just focus on that answer, and then I focus on that answer. I don't try to like make it all like, okay, this is too much,
That's where you could dive deep if somebody asked you on it, but I don't want to introduce it as its own topic, because now it's like, oh, is she about heart disease or bullying? Because bullying is its own thing. Bullying could be somebody else's total cause.
It's like your message, Evan. Believe. Like if you people just believe in themselves, like it can, at the end of the day, solve so many problems. So it's kind of like one time I gave a speech, if we just have like an emotional health curriculum where we teach students how to be more compassionate with each other, be intentionally empathetic with each other, include each other. If we just have that one curriculum, it could end that's my dog. It could end up like saving like broken marriages down the road. It could help prevent school dropout rates. Because everything starts with the thoughts that you think, and that's why in my video when I talk about Victoria's Voice and the 87,000 schools I want to reach, I want to talk to them about heart health, but also the emotional heart, because if you start taking care of yourself, then you can prevent heart disease, and also you can better take care of others.
Yeah, so the connection to heart disease may not be as strong, but the whole heart, like how you just answered that was almost perfect. I would just take out the thoughts, because now you're going back to the brain, right? It's not about the thoughts. It's about
let me just say take care of your heart. Just
your emotional heart. Like there's a physical heart and the emotional heart. And if somebody, you could touch on how it impacts all sorts of different areas in people's lives. And what this is just another example of if somebody's emotional heart isn't right, they're going to have an unhappy life, an unfulfilled life of depression and unhappiness. So you're always thinking bigger picture, because if you dive down one path, like that's going to be your job. If you just talk about heart disease and you talk about bullying, it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. So that's your job to always bring back that bridge and tie into the bigger picture, that you're not just, sure you have bullying stories, but you're not just an anti-bullying. If you win, it's not just going to be an anti-bullying campaign. It's going to be a whole heart campaign, which is physical heart and emotional heart. And bullying is just one tiny piece of the emotional heart spectrum. Right.
Do you think for the next rodeo, the next like go around, or if you, if I didn't, because like next year, because this year the contestant doesn't go to Miss World, so anyone would have to recompete. So for next year, do you think I should not have the facial burn story or the bullying story? Because do you think it's good that I have those in there, or?
I think it's good. I think it's showing. I think the problem in at least that quick video, which you can make up for in the interviews, and it's just how does it tie to the bigger things? How does it tie to the emotional heart? This is just an example of why the emotional heart is so important.
Okay.
Not that you're going to now be the representative for bullying for America or for people with facial burns in America, or right. Yes, you're happy to do that but it ties into your bigger mission. And the fact that you lost your heart and now you're with a pacemaker, that whole picture, like even having a picture of a heart, and like I think didn't you have something of like the broken heart or something? You have a picture.
I have so I'm gonna do it in my I have like a setup in mind. I'm gonna do it in my awards room, keep it very clean, have my sacks there, and then just have. Okay. I also have a question about this because I have written 1,000 articles. I have worked with 100 nonprofits. I did start my nonprofit at 15. So I'm just going to have like a few binders of the articles I've written. And like the highest award from Secretary of State, which she only gives to 5 people in state of Washington. So I'm going to have highlight one award. Should I just in the first question, be with a purpose, just keep the answer how it is, but maybe later on talk about all that? Or should I just not talk about the fact that I worked with 100 NGOs because they've already seen it in the video?
Touching on things. So the structure should be, your breeding purpose, heart disease, how much it kills people and how it's such a big deal, right? That you went through it yourself, and that you saw, and that now you're kind of on the other side, but you're passionate about helping other people. Now you've realized that in going through it, you also realize the emotional heart side of things and why that's such a big deal. Because when you got out of it, you were told you couldn't dance. You were told that you were bullied by your schoolmates, and you felt like life was over.
Mm-hmm.
And so this led me to create the Whole Heart campaign, which is the physical heart and the emotional heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we can fix that, we're saving lives, and we're making the lives more, even now, like the heart disease is saving people's lives, but we're making people happier and live with more purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Great. That now sets it up. Then you say, okay, so over the past, X years, here are some of the things that I've done. Mm-hmm. And whatever the biggest highlights are, right? Okay. I set up an NGO at 15. I was on with Evan Carmichael.
Meeting Evan.
Right? Like you pick your 3 things that you've had. Yeah. They want to see that you're doing the work. Yeah. So here's what I've done ever since. Just quickly touching on. I mean, if they want to pick something up, they might, right? Like 15, you started this thing. What? Tell me about that. You never know what piece of your story they're gonna pick on. And I wouldn't worry so much about your video because they're watching lots of videos too, and they may not remember every little piece that you talked about in your video.
Right.
So once you've tied that up nicely of like the whole heart, this led you to create the Whole Heart campaign and what that means. And we're saving lives and making the lives more purposeful and happy, not just extending somebody's life, but making it a good life, right? A great life. And so now I get what you're all about. Okay, awesome. And I see why it's so important. Great. Now it makes sense. That's been the biggest thing is like, how do all these things tie together?
Right.
Now it makes sense. Then you can get into what you've done since and what the 3 to 5 biggest
accomplishments.
Just super touching on it. Like it doesn't, all of them have their own deep stories that you can go into if they ask, for sure. Right. But just showing that, hey, you've done a lot since. Yes. You're not just, hey, once you make me Miss World America, then I'm going to do something. Right. No, I've already done something. And now I want to bring this.
Double the impact. Triple.
Yeah. I want to use this platform to make an even bigger impact because
to heal even more hearts around the world.
Yeah. And the whole heart, like even having a picture or something that shows
the heart,
physical heart and emotional heart as 2 sides, I think would be helpful. And then the picture of you as a girl. So yeah, I think, and then that's it. And then you have them, they're going to ask you questions and then you'll be fine. You'll be fine in answering the questions, but just keep tying it back to whole heart. Don't say mindset. Don't say brain. Don't say thoughts, emotional heart, whole heart. Yeah. This is good. Like this heart. And this heart, right? Yeah.
You're so good at writing. I spend majority of my video, it was like months, but 90% of it was writing it. And I spent like a month writing it. But just in like 5 minutes, you just like made my script twice as better. So
I'll save this. Like go back and watch it and watch it because what you're great at, you've got the huge heart, even though it's, a robot one, but you've got the huge heart. You've got the work ethic and the drive and the desire to do good and all that. You're just doing so much, which is awesome, and it makes sense to you. It's hard to understand from the outside world. The only thing you're missing is just like the structure and the communication around how it all makes sense together.
Right.
So like we just gave it to you, and if you like watch that back a couple times, and I think you'll be fine. Just even if you don't nail it, your warmth and your love and like all of the work that you've done will still give you a really good shot. But if you can nail that sequence, so that holy cow, like this is the greatest thing we've ever seen.
So I also think I need to definitely like do some stories because sometimes they're like, okay, Sri, we get it, but tell us a story you impacted a child. And then I'm like, I think I need to give more stories in my interview and then talk about how I met Mark in Tacoma High School last year, and he was 17 and he had an accent. He was from Ukraine, but I inspired him to not think that, just little snippets of.
You can't. I would save it. I wouldn't do that in your intro.
No, like
when you've got enough in your intro. Just in their questions. In your questions, always tie it back to you, yourself, and either bigger picture or award or story of somebody that you've helped.
Right.
And then try to, if you can keep track, like this is where it gets, advanced class stuff. But if you know that you told, like in the last answer, you said a statistic, and then the next answer you said something about an award, then your next answer you want to try to tell some kind of personal story.
Right. Keep a healthy balance.
And maybe even have like a little score sheet or something in front of you versus like personal story versus award, personal story versus award. Because for any question, you have a personal story of somebody that you've helped and gone through, and you probably have some kind of award or accolade or something that looks good. So just kind of keeping track as you're going through. Did I check? Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool.
Awesome.
I love it.
Thank you.
Cheering you on. Good luck. I know it's coming up soon.
Thank you. Yes, it is.
Let me know how it goes. And I'm
thank
pumped.
you for having the biggest heart and giving us 10 free one-on-one sessions. You're incredible. I know you've changed the lives of all these girls because you've changed mine for sure. So thank you for all your mentorship. We're so happy to have you as part of Miss World America family.
Appreciate you, Shree. Cheering you on. You got a really good shot. Make it count.
Bye, Mr. Canada.
You. Bye.
If you want to see another awesome one-on-one I did with an entrepreneur just like you, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.